Hello everybody and welcome back to this series on the mini alphabet punch board by We Are Memory Keepers. I'm here for the last video in this series, which is how to make a mini album with the little letters that you punch out. So I originally stumbled across this video by a European artist, and although I didn't understand a thing she said, I kind of got the gist of what she was trying to do, and I thought I would make a video in English with instructions for anybody else who was wondering what she was saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the original video link down below in my description box, and I'm going to show you how I made these mini albums. So stay tuned for my video. We're going to start off with a couple of things. We're going to start off with the pattern paper that you're going to be making your letters with. These are at 1.5 and 2.5. I'm going to put them here on the side. This is an old graphic 45 paper. It's beautiful. We're also going to need, so grab yourself a 12 by 12 cardstock. You're going to cut it at 6 inches, so in half, and then you're going to cut it at 2.5, which is the length of the letters. So you're going to have 6 inch by 2.5. Alrighty. So, and I've got just some here. Then next thing you need to do is decide on your word. Today I'm going to use the word Kate because I'm making my friend Kate a little mini album. So first thing you do is go ahead and make your letters, and I've just got this here as a guide. If you haven't seen my previous videos on how I made them, very easy to use this punch board. I really love it. So alright, so the next thing you need to do is you're going to align each of these letters at the very end of each of your strips. Alrighty, so you're going to have them there just for visual references. So let's scoot these up and let's start off with the E. So with the E, so remember it's going to be a little bit harder because you can't maneuver this as much as having a small one. So that's why you kind of want it there just as a guide. So one thing that I found that was quite easy was to at least mark off where the 1.5 inch line is, so that you're able to line it up with the 1-2 mark here. So for example, it wants you to put it on the edge on the 2 here, so mark your the line that you've just drawn on the 2. So you're going to do that. Then on the other side, again, you need to make sure, because you have to flip it over. So and then you mark that line over on the 2. So you've got those 2. So remember, this is going to be your E. You're going to go this way. And you're going to cut it off at 3, 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to flip over, and you're going to cut off that one on top there. So that's the E. And they love to tell you to do a little, cut off the inside of the E. So I flipped it over and did it this way because you can't put it in and do it this way because you don't have, you've got all this. So and I kind of did a little bit wonky. So I'm just going to correct it. So then all you're going to need to do is grab your and that's the E done. Let's work on the T now. So that's another one done. And last of all is the K. Now, of course, you know, you could always just leave them like this. You could always just stick them on at the edge, but I think it's nicer to have them individual to make it look like they're proper letters that are individually cut out and then just attached on one side. And it is going to be a preference for you, so whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do. So you're now at the stage where you've got each of the letters attached to kind of the album. So you can now decide the distance that you can put the letters at before we are going to chop off the side there and make it into a little mini album. Now don't forget, on the opposite side here, and this is the thing that matters, is that this is what's going to bind, this is like the spine of your mini album. If you're going to space it out as I've done here, you're going to have no way of binding here. So you will need at least half an inch, I would say, at least half an inch. Alrighty, so I'm going to mark my ½ inch there. You can go a little bit smaller, but let's just say ½ an inch as a guide. So the distance between here and here is going to be ½ inch. So you're going to line up your ½ inch on this one with the ½ inch on this one. Right? This is what we're doing. ½ inch here, ½ inch there. So this is the back page and this is the front page, so to speak. You are then going to try to figure out like an equal spacing. And then every time, just grab some of these binder clips. Every time you've got your spacing correct, you are going to just hold it together. So that's perfect for that one. Just put it on this side. So ½ inch and ½ inch is there with the A in the middle. So that's all right. Then the last thing you need to do is figure out where you're going to put your T. Alright, so then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your pencil and you're going to mark where that score line is going to be. So it's going to be about there, and then flip it up. It's going to be about there, and you've got your ½ inch score line there. So then remove this. You know, I don't have a score board, so I use my trimmer as a score. So just the track in the middle there, I use my bone folder. So that's the first score line there. Next is this one here, And if you're interested in how far that is, that's at 2.5 inches. From the 6-inch. This one here, that is at 1.5 inches from the 6-inch. And then this one here, that'll be at least 1/4 inch from the very top. And they're all going to be different because the letters are all different. So let's now line up all your score lines again. So then next thing I want you to do is you're going to flip it over. Use both your paper clips and you are going to chop it off. So 1, 2, 3, and this one stays because that's the spine. You're going to chop it off right there, lining up with the last letter. So ready? Make sure you're happy with what you've got before you chop it off. And that is your mini album. Now, in terms of binding, there are several ways you can bind these. Let me show you what I've done. With my crocodile, basically I just did 2 holes here, and I used some twine to hold it. Similarly, I punched half a circle at the very top here on this one, and again used some twine to bind it. And then all you have to do is just fold at that score line to get your mini album. Now, one more thing that you have to do, so remember that this score line here is, what did we say, 1/4? Or no, 1/2 inch. We ended up going 1/2 inch by 2.5. So you're going to need to make some spacers. Now, why make spacers? I'll show you in this one here. As you start adding things to your album, so obviously you couldn't really add much here because this is just the letter itself, but as you start adding to these spaces here, you will start creating bulk so that your album does this. By introducing spacers, you will increase the thickness of your spine, and your album will more likely sit flat. So go ahead, and you've got some stuff that you've cut off already here when you chopped off the extra. Use these as your, so this first one here, use these as your spacers. And I'll just put that there. And then that way you will have kind of a thicker spine. So let's go ahead and put the binding. I'm going to use like just some craft thread. And I'm going to just do 1 hole in there, and then 1 hole. I'm just going to eyeball it. I hope they're at the same level. Okay, so once you've bound it, and I think what I'm going to do is add a few charms here or some beads, see how we go, or I might just chop them off, depending on how annoying they are. Just put them off to the back. I think some beads would be nice around the back. Once you've got that going, you're free to get to take those clips off, and then just get those score lines bended. That's the back of your album. And there you have it. A little mini album that you can decorate and you know, give to your friends. Now, as I showed you earlier, I have a few versions done here, one for each of my boys that I've yet to decorate, because time is just running for, I'm running out of time always don't have enough time to do what I want. But I did want to show you, so 4-letter words are very easy, and I would imagine that, 2-letter words would be 2, 3-letter words would be easy. 5-letter words, and you can have an album that's 12 inches if you want. I mean, it doesn't matter. It'll be 2.5 inches high, and you can do whatever you want here. It's just going to look really sort of odd. So again, here's one that's got 5 letters, so I've put the word party, and all you really have to do is just make sure that your formation is quite tight, and once again, you've got this back one is your marker for how many letters you can fit in. And then once you've got that, I mean, I left 1/2 inch, you can leave, 1/4 inch as a spine, and put in many more words. I mean, if your name is Sebastian, good luck. But yeah, so 5-letter words are really easy to do here. So, and here's another one that I'm about to make, because we're about to have a party really soon, and I thought this would be a good card to put out. And they're really nice. You could just imagine that if you're going to have a whole lot of friends over, these can be good placemats at their spots. And Zane's about to have his party, and if I have time, I hope to do that for his guests who are coming over for his party. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is we've done horizontal albums. Now, what about making them into vertical albums? And my answer to you is, I don't think that you really can, not in this way. The reason is that it's going to be too narrow. So remember, the size of each letter is 1.5 and 2.5, and the size of your album is the size of the larger piece, which is this way, which is the 2.5. So your album will always be 2.5, no matter how long you do it this way. Obviously, you're not going to want it to go 12 inches. 6 inches is a nice little bundle. So, I mean, you can go 7 and 8, that's okay. Now, if you flip it the other way around, you're going to want letters going this way. So your album will be as narrow as 1.5 inch. What kind of pictures can you do there? I mean, of course you can. Of course you can. But the thing is that, let's say you're going to do like someone's 4-letter name. Let's just say this, Millie. Millie is going to be at least 10 inches high by the width of this, which, I mean, you know that the double letters are 2.5 inch by 2.5. So if you were to put Lily, or if we put Nilly, it's going to be 1.5 inch by 10. And I didn't like that. I didn't even want to try it, but I'll show you what I did do. So let's move these guys to the side. You can still use them to make albums, just maybe not the albums that are rounded to each of the letters. So what I did here, and let me get my measurements for you, is I created like an album that was like a story. So I want to know your story, so I thought maybe if I had a few pictures of one of my boys, and then just put like grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, etc. So this first little part here, firstly, this whole thing is 8 3/4 high. Now the first sheet here, and this is my base, this is 5.5 inch. The second one here is 3.5 inch. The third one here is 2.5 inch. It is scored at 1/2 inch, so that you can do that. And then I stapled it, right? And to hide the staples, I put washi tape, and then I matched the washi tape on this side, and then I put a little sentiment there, and then I put my letters in the middle of this one, so that you can maybe write your sentiment here, and then here can be all pictures or more journaling or whatever it is you want to do. So that was kind of one, I guess, mini album that I made. Another one that I did was this one, and I thought at first that I was going to cut off the edges, but then I didn't like the idea that I was going to be left with only a narrow bit here. I don't think you can do much with it, so I left them as they are, and I mean that's okay too. So I'll show you what I did with this one. Your base can be as high as you want, as high as however many letters you've got. This base is 10 inches, and of course it's going to be, so this is 1.5, and then this is an extra inch that I gave for extra, decoration. I put some washi along the side there all the way down and then all the way around, because as you flipped it over, you could still see the washi. It's lovely. So yeah, so I've got, there's no scoring here. This is 10 inch, this is 7 3/4 inch. See, this is 7 3/4, this is a 5.5, and then this is a 3 inch by 2.5. And then all I did was I put 2 holes in the twine at the top there. I cut each of my letters and I scooted them over to the side, thinking at first that I was going to cut them out, then decided that I wasn't. So in hindsight, or the next albums that I do afterwards, everything will be centered and I think it will be nicer. I then decided just to put washi on alternate letters here. Alrighty, so that is my take on mini albums using the mini alphabet punch board. I hope it helps you out. I hope it inspires you to make some albums, or if you like the mini punch board that much, there's a lot you can do with it. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.